Hello, everyone. If you don't have time to listen to my dulcet tones, if you click the link below to register for your complimentary budget webinar tomorrow morning, where we can discuss all of this in greater detail. So, after more than a little speculation and newspaper column inches, we finally heard from the UK's first ever female Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, all 74 minutes. The first Labour budget in over 14 years was described in the Times this morning as being significant. Perhaps that's a bit of an understatement. To provide a little context, this is the single largest tax-raising budget ever. And that, for the statisticians out there, has been adjusted for inflation. So the previous closest being Norman Lamont back in 1992. But what does it all mean for you? As I mentioned, taxes have gone up. In fact, taxes have risen by 40 billion. The government borrowing heavily to invest in the future. So which taxes specifically? First up, capital gains tax. So rates have increased to 18% for basic rate taxpayers and 24% for higher rate payers. Our property investing clients will be breathing a small sigh of relief that there's been no change for CGT on residential property. However, what she gives with one hand with CGT remaining, she takes away the other. So as of midnight last night, stamp duty on second homes was increased from 3% to 5%. The inheritance tax thresholds have been frozen again at £325,000. If an estate includes a residence being left to a direct descendant, this is still frozen at £500,000. Both of these numbers have been frozen until 2030. This will undoubtedly mean that more estates will be drawn into the IHT regime and potential 40% tax bills. The first £1 million of combined business and agricultural assets will be IHT free, with values in excess of that only getting 50% relief. So for those of you potentially selling your business in the near future, business asset disposal relief, formerly entrepreneurs relief, is set to increase to 14% in April 25 and 18% the following year. Many businesses, farmers, landowners might find themselves now subject to IHT where they wouldn't have been before. As was always the case, these assets should be considered together with other ways to plan for tax-effective intergenerational wealth transfer, where the investor wishes to retain control over and access to assets being planned with. What about pensions? There were two changes of note. The first is most likely to be of the greatest interest to you guys, which is the inclusion of pension death benefits in inheritance tax. That starts from 2027. So that won't impact those receiving an income from a defined benefit scheme or those that are currently receiving an income from an annuity. But if you've got a normal pension, it will. It will, however, generally impact all other pension death benefits, including death and service payments from pension schemes. Non-dom status has been abolished, along with excluded property trusts, potentially affecting the UK's high-end property market. Labour insists that working people would not be affected by paying higher income tax or national insurance bills. In fact, Reeves did confirm that the current freeze on thresholds will end in April 2028, but until then, more people will continue to be pulled into paying increased tax. Whether the Chancellor reaffirmed or indeed broke a manifesto promise that national insurance would not increase, it's up for debate. But the government did, however, aim their biggest tax increase at employers, increasing the aforementioned national insurance from 13.8% for an employer to 15%. This, alongside a drop in the threshold at which employers start to pay NI from £9,000 to £5,000, is expected to raise about £25 billion. Moving forwards, business owners should work closely with their accountants, with consideration given to taking dividends rather than salary and how best to extract funds from their business. The scope for savings from employing your wife or your partner in a business, that's been reduced, as the secondary threshold has also been dramatically lowered. Existing arrangements should be reviewed in light of this change, and as always, advice is essential. So what are my key takeaways? First, owning assets, whether passive or active, isn't a guaranteed full exemption for inheritance tax anymore. If you own a business, it's crucial to revisit your succession plans and perhaps consider insuring against unexpected events. Secondly, while pensions continue to serve their main purpose, inheritance tax planning has now become more complex. It now demands a comprehensive strategy to ensure maximum benefit. And finally, for those of you who own small businesses, you'll experience some financial shifts. Remember, planning the right exit strategy and effectively managing profits is often more rewarding in the long run than focusing solely on capital gains tax from a quick sale. Overall, it's a significant budget with implications for both saving and investing. If you're unsure how these changes affect your financial plans, give us a call. But one thing is certain, the need for one-to-one invaluable advice has never been greater. We're here to help you navigate these new challenges. So if you click the link below, I like doing that, to register for our complimentary budget webinar tomorrow morning, we'll talk about that in more detail and perhaps some planning ideas as well. So yeah, speak soon and take care.